4, 3.
Mwah, 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 mwah. It's your girl Sunshine. Tonight, we switching it up a little bit with y'all. We have Brandon Williamson, the poet, and he's gonna do something a little smooth and different tonight. And we have our boy Ron with me as always on Friday night, Wednesday night, and Tuesday night.
Loyalty over everything. Let's go.
Exactly. So we're gonna start out. Do you want to tell us the name of this one?
So this poem is called Trigger Warning. It's a poem that I wrote with a friend of mine named Ben Brandeis. And it was a combination of two concepts that we decided to pull together into what you're about to see today that speaks on something that we wrote. We wrote Trigger Warning about almost 8-9 years ago, and it's still relevant today. And so this poem you're about to see is called Trigger Warning.
All right, Ron, hit it.
Trigger warning.
This clip is not loaded with a hollow point.
Statistically, one of us will not live to see the end of this poem. If that's the case, let's play a drinking game.
Pick a card.
Turn it over.
If it's black,
You take a shot. We'll call it Ferguson.
no, Cleveland.
Baltimore.
No, Chicago.
We'll call it justice. As liquid lullabies pour out of rivers drawn from our children in this concrete jungle by bullets that whisper sweet nothings in the dreams they bring. They will tell you that nothing is quite what it seems, but when your allies become your enemies become anonymous.
Relax. Take a deep breath. But only if you can. Don't hold it. Stale air has been known to choke a man. When justice short arms its purpose, drops the ball, what then? When every TV newscast coverage says, don't worry,
It's just them in this Goldilocks system where the curse of the black bear bears witness to a household being destroyed from the inside while being hunted on the outside. Mama Bear's existence relies on the lies she's told herself, a sign from her bare hands that says they'll think it's always your fault. You will be hunted by the ones who swore to serve and protect you.
Instead of to serve and protect, it's now
Search, destroy,
maintain peace in pieces.
demonize little boys.
These neighborhoods are battlefields now. All the soldiers deployed beyond the shields and gas masks. How do you hear the screams of the noise?
Where barefoot walks pose unbearable threats of her baby bear holding his breath, being found on the wrong side of a bear roll.
Depict the victim on TV, make him the villain, call his hand gestures gang signs, make him seem worth killing, because that's easier to swallow than the jagged truth.
If this was a gang sign, Nixon was down too.
I am not a crook.
But if you want a man happy,
Don't give him two sides, give one. And if you really don't want him worried, fuck one, give him none. No questions, no thoughts, predetermine his mind.
no one's born to discriminate.
They learn it in time.
Speaking of that, I've always been fascinated with time zones. The fact that it's a different time all over the world always gets me. For example, in some parts of America, it's still 1950. So the living dynamic for the black bear may be different from it.
Polar opposite. Give me stories of morning porridge. Stuff me so full of facts, I feel I can build a future without looking back. I find it funny. It's the ones that weren't hurt by the past that can't accept institutionalized race wars as a fact.
Well, how do you expect me to react when I have to look to my brother and scream, don't shoot, and then he looks to the officer and screams, don't shoot, and the officer looks to the camera and screams,
Don't shoot.
instead close your eye.
Let the record spin. The same din recording from 18 to 1986. From Gallatin County to the Howard Beach racial incident, but when it's a mob of white people,
Somehow it's not ignorant.
because we need
The
discomfort.
only way is to create two sides.
True lies that cause pain.
Because pain closes both eyes.
Squeeze teardrops the same way when you smell smoke rise.
Scatter. Everyone for themselves now. 2 exits, 1 line. I guess that's just another resigned sign of the times.
That one I had to open up with, especially with everything that's going on today.
Yeah.
Still, years later, still, centuries later.
And that's the problem, and that's the challenge that we face in the poetry world, which is, you know, how long these poems maintain their relevance, how long they stay relevant. As you know, like I said, we wrote that poem and performed it at that event. I believe that was about 8 years ago. And that was around the time of Eric, actually it might have been a little sooner than that, but around Eric Garner. Obviously after Trayvon Martin, it was before Philando Castile, and all of those situations all those killings that happened, all those shootings of Black bodies that happened. And so we I initially wrote a poem called Critical Lens that kind of catered to the similar message, but also comparing it to various quotes similar to the old essays that we used to write in elementary school. And I sat down with Ben and we took that message and spun it in a way that we can really make something out of it at this point. And so one of my favorite things to do is to find other artists to collaborate with, to find various different perspectives on these topics. And that's what we love to do. So we love to do.
It is powerful. We didn't introduce yourself and tell them about yourself, where you're from, and how did you get into writing poetry? All
right, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Williamson. I am the host and founder of the Pure Ink Poetry Slam here in the city of Buffalo. I'm a spoken word artist, a poet. I'm an actor. I have a theater background. And I started writing poetry in college, actually. I went to Fredonia. I started writing poetry in college. It's a funny story. So it was one of my first poems that I wrote. It was about 2:00 in the morning, and I was in college in a dorm room with my girlfriend at the time. And she was working on a painting for a scholarship. It was called a scholarship called the Rosa Parks Scholarship. Okay. So she was painting, and I was kind of just sitting there with nothing really to do. So I said, all right, you know what, forget it, I'll start writing. And I started writing a poem on the concept, the idea of Rosa Parks. It's called Sun Chi Lai, which means stand up. And it was, I kind of talked about I'm sitting because I'm tired. And I translated that to the glass ceiling being the wall, being the bus window that we're looking out of and seeing the world through the eyes of people who look at us, and so on and so forth. So I wrote the poem that night. And I said, well, this is actually pretty good. I guess I'll just turn it in. So I turned it into the scholarship on the sheet of paper, or at the same time she turned in her painting, and I won the scholarship.
Oh, and how did that work out between you?
So we're not together anymore. But but she's still one of my closest friends, and it was one of those things where we laugh about it. Well, I laugh about it, but we laugh about it. And then from there, I kind of figured I'd just keep jumping in, and I enjoyed the artwork. I enjoyed the framework, because it wasn't just about the writing of the poem, it's about the telling of the story. And that's what I'm really big on when it comes to spoken word. It's you're telling a story, whether it's your story. In many cases, no matter what you're writing, it's a part of your story because it's something that means something to you. Whereas in theater, in my theater background, you're often telling someone else's story. So, as an actor, you're playing a role that someone else wrote. And you become these characters that are not you. And that's the fun part of that. But when it becomes to spoken word, it's time for you to take your story, put it in print, and then bring it to life. And that's what I love doing. That's what I love about spoken word, especially what people consider slam poetry, or spoken word in that case, or performance poetry, as we call it. So, okay. Yeah, it's a good time.
That's awesome story. When you got the award, how was her reaction?
She was more upset that she didn't get it more than the fact that I got it. Like, she was happy that I got the award. She was happy that I got it. Yeah. But she was upset that she didn't. And I believe there were 5 recipients of the award, so I was one of the 5. And so,
well, congratulations on that. And actually, she helped get you going.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And she's probably one of my most supportive friends even to this day. She reached out to me just a couple of days ago, and she's like, "Hey, your album, your book, and everything like that. I want hard copies of all of it. Let me know when it's out and available." And I was like, "All right, you got it." And so.
So, are you doing a book?
Oh yeah, actually, I just released a book. Actually.
What is the name?
The book is called.
And you don't have it with you?
I don't have it with me. I know, and I was sitting in my car and I was pulling off, and I said I should go back and grab my book, but I didn't because I only have one copy of it so far. It's brand new. It just came out about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago.
Well, where can they find it?
You can actually find it on my website. So if you go to brandonwilliamson.us, www.brandonwilliamson.us, and you will find the book. It's called A How-To Guide. It's my latest book. It's one of 2. The first one is called Critical Lens, based off of actually the poem that trigger warning was based off of. And it's basically
Nice.
seeing the world through a poet's eyes. And the how-to guide goes into more a lot of how-to poems that go deeper into who we are and how we cope and how we handle things, especially in a world that doesn't necessarily know how to cope and handle us.
Now, I'm going to put in an order for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I would like an autograph. Can I get that?
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I know I had my friend George on and I purchased his book, but I said, George, I need your autograph in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then send it to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to order it from Amazon. I'm ordering it specifically from you.
All right.
That's how I got it. So
And
I'll
you-
definitely.
And you'll save money that way too, because if I plan on ordering a handful of them and having them on my person, so that if you want to pre-order one, it'll only be $10, whereas if you order it online, it's gonna be $12 plus shipping. So get it from me, save yourself.
We're definitely
save
going to
$2.
get it and we'll post it on here so that way they'll know how they can get it as well. How can people reach you?
So you can find me, obviously you can find me on Facebook. I go by my regular account. So my name is Brandon Williamson. I'm here in Buffalo, New York, but also you can find me on Instagram, B Williamson Poet. You can find me there, as well as you can always reach me at pureinkpoetry@gmail.com, which is the poetry slam that I run here in Buffalo. And we, obviously with the quarantine and lockdown and everything, we've been doing virtual slams. So you can find us at pureinkpoetry.com, and you can reach out to me there. I'm the person that's running Pure Ink now, and it's a great opportunity for us to give others a voice, a chance to share their voice. But also, since we've been virtual, the benefit that we have of being virtual is we have poets from all over the country as well as all over the world. So our last poet who won the slam, I believe, was from Guyana.
Oh, wow.
And the second runner-up was from Canada. And we had poets from Berlin, Amsterdam, and so on and so forth, all here in our virtual slam. So it was a good time. It's a good time.
Beautiful. So when you win, what is the reward? Usually
at our home slams, it's $50. So I take, the slam itself is $5 to compete, $5 to come and enjoy to spectators, and then we pay $50 to our slam winner, and we do it every month. We do it every 2 weeks, but every month.
That's nice.
And so for these slams, the virtual ones, we've upped the ante a little bit because everyone's always complaining that we never give a prize to second and third place.
Okay.
Because first place is first place. Everybody else lost. No, I'm kidding. No. But for these slams that we're hosting now, I have it in collaboration with an organization for a show called Typography of a Woman, and they are co-sponsoring this event. So the first place is $75, second place is $50, and third place is $25.
That's great, look.
It's good. And so, and I send it out through Cash App and Venmo or whatever their country utilizes, PayPal or whatever the country uses. So it's a good time.
Now, this is Hip Hop Music Friday.
Mm-hmm.
What are the first five in your phone selection?
All right. So first five hip hop songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not just hip hop. What are the first five of your selections? When you turn on your phone and you want to hit something, what's the first five that pops up?
All right. So this is not going to go to the theme at all initially. But usually my first go-to is not hip hop at all, but it's actually pop music from growing up, and it's NSYNC. Okay, because I grew up, it's a long story, but I grew up as an NSYNC fan because I love choreography, I love dance, and 5-part harmonies because my father was a music teacher. So I grew up in music. And so I was a big fan of 5-part harmonies that actually utilized the 5-part harmonies. And they were one of the first bands that I was first introduced to pop music with. And that was in 8th grade. I didn't know that any other music existed besides WBLK until I was in 8th grade. And then from there, it kind of helped mold me. And this is all brand new to me. So NSYNC would be my number one. Busta Rhymes. I
love Busta.
Yeah, Busta Rhymes is on my top list as well. Sage Francis is a hip hop artist / poet. And his artistry and style and the way that he kind of molds things is beyond anything. And then there are some really dope poets that I know locally who I listen to as well. So Lex Leosis and Havaya Mighty, who are both women poets who are in Canada, Toronto. And
the border is still closed.
The border is closed. So, Havaya Mighty is just ridiculous and insane with it, and Lex Leosis is the same. And they have this one song that I have on my YouTube music app that they do a Canadian Women's Cypher for International Women's Day, and it's a great representation of like their art, their skills, and their style. So
I'm definitely gonna have to get you to connect us with them.
Yeah,
because I do Ladies Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I did put you on the spot. I know.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's what I'm here for. I love it. I love being on the spot. It's all right.
Okay. Well, Ursh is on. Hello, Ursh. He says, so Sunshine keeps bringing these brothers with dreads. Time to grow mine's back out. What's up, fam? Oh, I love you, Ursh. Always got to have the connect and the fire, and we're going to change it up. Now, you said your father was a teacher?
Yes.
A musical teacher?
Mm-hmm.
What else did he do? Since that's one of your backgrounds, tell us about the family background.
Oh, yeah. So my father, who was actually one of my biggest inspirations just growing up in general, he was a music teacher. He went to Fredonia, went for music education. And he's also a pastor. He's a pastor now. And at the, it's a new church. It's not a new church, but I don't remember. Williams Temple in South Boston, Virginia.
Okay.
Because my entire family moved to Virginia. So we're CME, which is Christian Methodist Episcopal. And that means that obviously we're Christian Methodist, means we have like a discipline in the way that we do things. In Episcopal, we're governed by bishops. And what the bishops do is they move pastors around. And so what they did was they saw a good church that my father would be a good fit for. And as a reward, especially as he's leaning towards retirement, they said, we're going to move you to a nice warm place in Virginia out of Buffalo. And we're going to let you sit back and retire and enjoy your time while you're there.
Okay.
And so that's what he's been doing out there. So he's a pastor, he's a musician, he's a singer, a bass singer. So he's in the basement.
You saw how he switched that?
He was our church musician before he became a pastor. And honestly, for the most part, I've followed in his footsteps, except with theater more so than music. Although I have his musicianship, he's obviously much better than I am. I have his musicianship, but my background, I took a left turn and went to theater. So my mother was a psychologist, and so it was a blend between psychology and music. And so I always say, my father had the book smarts and my mother had the street smarts, because my mother knew how I was, and so. My brother gravitated more towards my mom. I gravitated more towards my dad, but we were all really close together. And, it was great. And so growing up was always active with both of my parents. Always. My mom would always laugh at my father's lack of understanding of street smarts. And my father would, just go on his way. And he's always busy running. And that's something I've adopted from him as well. It's just constantly running. Yeah. When you're passionate about something, you don't feel like you're working. And then when your body tells you need to stop, then you need to stop.
Trust me, my body, I listen to it very well now, because I love doing this. I love being a paralegal. I love doing my spoken word. It's our testimony, or we're talking about what's going on today in society.
How come I ain't seen you at my events yet? Where you been at? Why you being stingy?
I have to get your event, but as fairness, I'm busy with sports. The little one, he's a sports. We just finished travel baseball. Now it's regular baseball, and we don't know if they're going to do basketball due to it's inside for basketball with the virus. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And then he wanted to try out for travel basketball. So, and then my middle son, he's the theater one,
Okay.
but he's with his friends, or else you would have been able to meet him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I stay busy. But it's a great
When are you gonna
busy.
take time for you? You know?
Oh, I started.
Send it to my office. We're gonna talk about this now.
Trust me. We will. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But I do my spoken word through Distro Kid, and I put it on YouTube, TikTok, all of that.
Okay.
But it is. I love getting in the studio. I love getting it out of me, because if it's in me too long, it's like it has to come out. It has to come out.
Yep.
And then when it comes out, you're like,
yeah, especially when it comes out the way you want it to come out.
yes.
That's a challenge. Is you know what you want to say, you just can't quite put the words in the right place to say it the way that you want to say it, and then it just leads to frustration. But then you set it aside for a little bit, go do something else, and you come back to it and say, okay, now I find out where I am.
And then when it's in your head and you're telling your producer how to do the music, and then we're in sync, so he'll get it. And then I'm like, no, that's not what I hear in my head. And then I'll be like, change this, change that. That's what I hear. And then we'll go. Or sometimes he's like, can you just wait until I'm done? I hear this. Okay, God tells you the words, but he tells me the music. And it's true.
You work together. I've got a great friend. His name is Denzel, he's a musician now. Well, he's been a musician, but he does a lot of producing music. He creates music, and we were working on a spoken word his music album ourselves. But for the first album, the one that I just put out, I did my own music. I took the time out and I said, you know what? I'm stuck in the house. It's quarantine. We're stuck in COVID. We're stuck in COVID quarantine.
Sure
and we had so much free time. So I said, you know what? I need to be creative. And the problem that I run into is, and I think I get this from my father, I never give myself permission to rest. And so I feel like I always have to
God gave
constantly
everybody permission to rest for those 3 months.
Exactly. And so that's what helped me reconnect with myself, reconnect and just kind of let everything else pour away. So I'm not running from place to place and doing all these events. I can just stay home because I have to. And I know that there's nothing else going on. So now I can sit back and just focus on creating. Focus on, and take the time to compose music, take the time to write something to it and really build from there. So
you said instruments. What instruments do you play?
I play the bass guitar.
You're many talents, man.
Yeah. Alas, I admit it. I play the bass guitar. I was in a band not too long ago called Surviving Friday with Ben. And we broke about 2 years ago because we all kind of just went our separate ways. I play the piano. I play the piano itself. I play the drums, and I sing.
Multi talent.
Yeah.
Ron, I'm not gonna hog it. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm enjoying it. Great questions.
Well, this is our night together, so you're supposed to have your questions.
Put you on the spot, Ron.
I sure am.
Mr. Brandon Williamson, of course, we posted all your links to our comments. I want to talk about $2020. What have you been doing with your career since everything has happened this year? Because I know that video that we just shared with our guests was from 2016. And I know all the passion. I kind of wanted to talk about you in that video when we first played it, because I was first surprised when anybody sees, of course, a Caucasian guy up there with you talking with that tenacity. It's pretty good to see. So it's crazy to see how y'all two could come together and put something together. You don't really see that too often. And the fact that's in 2016. So what can we expect from you in 2020?
So in 2020, we haven't necessarily done any collaborating. Obviously, we can really get together. So I've been focusing and working on my own. So I have a handful of new concepts, a handful of new poems that I've been working on. One of which is called book covers. Do you remember back in elementary and high school, when you had to cover your books with the brown paper bag?
Yes.
And everything like that.
It's annoying.
I have a poem called Book Covers. I don't have it memorized yet, so it's not performance ready. But it goes on the concept of, of course, me being a teacher, because I was also a teacher,
Right.
instructing students on how to cover the books and saying how this cover will cover the content of your books while also at the same or protect your book while disguising its contents. This is not my rule, but an institutional side effect. One day, someone will look at your brown skin and wonder what's inside, you know, and then wonder if you're a book that is worth the read, and so on and so forth. So it goes into that realm and goes more so into, you know, as long as they see your skin, they feel like they can put whatever label on you they want, as long as they have a
Wow, I love that.
Right.
Right?
We was talking about yesterday. It reminds me of Martin Luther King. Don't judge me by my skin. My dream is to judge us by the contents of our character. That's
Yep.
powerful.
And
I love that.
funny enough, that's one of the lines that I have in there, which is they will judge you by they will assume they know the content of your characters based off of their experience of judging a book by its cover.
Oh man, yeah, we need
I
this.
wait to get this
What's the audience of it? Is it adult or is it like a children book or?
Oh, it's an adult book, definitely an
An adult book. Okay.
It's got a couple choice words in there, some concepts. But
Okay.
ultimately, it's a how-to guide. So I have, for example, how to make buffalo wings. For those of y'all who are not from Buffalo, it's a little instructional video, but it also ties into one of the things that I love to do in my spoken word is I like to take two concepts that are usually completely unrelated and find a way to tie them together, so that it can help change your perspective on something. Because that's the point. That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to change perspectives. I'm here to change minds, because there's a saying that we say in the spoken word in the poetry world, which is, "Don't restate the obvious to me. Expect me to call it genius." And so, you know, if you're gonna do a concept, then you know you need to shift it and make it apply to something that matters. And it doesn't have to be something like, you know, world changing. It could be something that matters to you, or something that might matter to your audience. But whatever it has to be an expression. And what I love to do is I like to take things that we think are familiar and make them strange. And that's one of the things that I love doing. So, for example, for buffalo wings, which I'll do a couple of lines from that one as well. So we talk about, you know, how to make buffalo wings. In Buffalo, we focus on the sauce. So I first talk about making the sauce. In fact, you know, I'm gonna hold on to that because I might actually do that poem as a.
No, I want to. What's the secret to the sauce? What's so special about the sauce that you put together, brother? Come on, because I ain't never heard Buffalo make the best buffalo wing.
Oh, where? Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing with Buffalo. You know, so the good thing about Buffalo is we're known for buffalo wings.
Yes.
The challenge with buffalo wings is simple. The simple challenge is this. You know, in Buffalo, we focus on the sauce. Maybe that's because we don't cook things thoroughly. I find myself trying the wings in every city that I go, but no one has this recipe down quite like the city of Buffalo. See, the city is covered up in sauce to hide the parts that are undercooked. So you add a little spice in Buffalo to draw all eyes to the inner harbor so the inner city gets overlooked. Lick a few fingers. Butter up a few palms. Put on a mask of progress, but keep it off the books. So that's why we see you the Anchor Bar. We know the best wings. Never mind. I'm not gonna go into that. But yeah, you know, so we talk about the wings itself. We talk about like, as long as you have good buffalo wing sauce, it doesn't matter how well or poorly the wing is cooked. And we kind of go how the city believes the same thing. If they add all this extra stuff onto it, then they don't have to worry about doing the work of the work that Buffalo needs.
Y'all heard it first. Buffalo out here serving undercooked wings with extra sauce. I love it. Let me get
That's right. And there's a lot of cities that do it. There's a lot of places that do it, but they got the recipe down. So, you know, then I compare that to like, I compare it to a conversation with my parents. Was I your sauce? You know, is this where I get it from? And we go from there. So that's the kind of stuff that I love to do. I love to change, take something that's familiar, like, oh, buffalo wings, I'm familiar with that. Give you the recipe, like, yeah, I know this, and then shift it to something that you're like, I didn't even think about it that way, and kind of hopefully change your perspective.
With the lyrics you just dropped, yes. I really can't wait for the book.
that is actually the first poem in this book. It's a how-to guide. And the first poem is how to make buffalo wings. So yeah, that's what you can expect from me. That, and of course, finish the album, and I'm working on a second one now. So I'm working on a music, poetry, hip hop kind of album. as well. I don't plan on releasing that anytime soon, but I might release some of the singles. It's all on like Spotify under Brandon Williamson. The album's called Instrumental.
You said it's gonna be a little hip hop too.
Oh yeah, I got a little hip hop. I finished my first. So I have a hip hop song on Instrumental. It's
Oh,
it's okay.
man.
But I got one called "I'm Better Than This," and it's a song that I haven't released yet, and it's about one of those situations where you see someone, whether it's at a bar or at a venue, and you kind of all these thoughts are going in your head that you never actually go and approach the person, you never actually go and talk to them, but you think about all the things that could go wrong in your head, and then you end up regretting not doing it, and so then you kind of tell yourself, you know what, next time I'm going to go do it, and so. That one
that's
actually
an interesting concept. That sounds good.
I finished it, and it's my first time actually not putting effort into, but I always said I wasn't a good hip hop artist because I don't have the discipline to like go within the meter and go within the rhythm and the cadence and then the rhyme scheme and things like that. But hashtag projects of quarantine. I took the time and I composed a song, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go with it, and I did, and I finished it, and I love it. I love it. My friend says the beat is rough, but I'm stick with it anyway because you know it's in my heart.
If it's in my heart, other people may not get it, but as long as it's in your heart,
that's all right.
Yeah.
Your hearts, you know, your hearts. Some get it.
That's where you get the real following, the real audience, the real people. You put your heart and soul into it.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to, you know, when the world opens up, we're able to grace the stage and tell our story in front of other people again. Because my goal is to inspire others to tell theirs, and that's why we do it. That's why I do it, and that's why I created the platform of Pure Ink, so that people can tell the story in a fun, competitive setting, in a slam, as opposed to, you know, open mic where people can kind of tune you out if they don't want to listen to you.
I know.
Yeah. In the slam, they have to listen because they have 5 people who are judging, and they have to know if the judges are scoring the score right, and so on and so forth. So it's a fun little competitive thing where they tell you, although you're doing poetry for points, the poetry is the point of the poetry slam.
Gotcha.
So it's a good time.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And what did that's when the kids leave the doors open.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Where do you see your career going from here?
Dang, that's kind of stealing my question. I'm gonna switch it up. That's fine. Go ahead.
So
we can bring it back. Bring it back.
I'm hoping to have a twofold kind of thing, because I'm a creativity consultant. Mm-hmm. I work with, whether it's schools or businesses. I try to introduce creative problem solving. I do creativity workshops and so on and so forth. And my goal is to find a way to combine the two so that I can travel somewhere, perform there, and also do my workshop at the same time. So I can become a traveling poet, and being able to do my creativity work as well. I'm also a college admissions counselor, and working at Fredonia, I usually travel up and down the Hudson Valley on the East Coast of New York State, from Albany down to New York City. And every city that I go to, I try to find a poetry event to perform in. And that's how I got to get my name out there. That's how I got to grace a lot of stages, and eventually got a lot of features, and eventually everything kind of grew into what it was. So my goal is to continue that realm, but also eventually, if I'm stepping away from the world of admissions, I can focus on just doing the creativity and the poetry, and that will be what I do. That's my goal. So that's what I'm looking for towards the future, while continuing to offer a space for others to share, doing workshops for others to learn how to share their voice and things like that, and also to embrace creativity as not just an art form, but also something that is mandatory for the survival of business.
In order to get your information out to the world, to get booked for events, things to that nature, is there sites that you have to go on to put your name out, or is it the word of mouth? How do you get all your business coming to you?
In most cases, it's word of mouth. One of the good things about Pure Ink is that we are a nationally certified slam organization, which means that every year we go and compete in what was the National Poetry Slam and what was the individual World Poetry Slam and the Women of the World Poetry Slam, and all those things. And getting to meet poets, getting to know those who run other poetry organizations, and being in that network, it allowed you to make connections. It allowed you to give people your contact information and let them know, hey, I plan on touring in this area on these dates are the dates that you can bring me in, and you can build from there. And that even goes internationally as well.
You've gone over international?
I've performed. I performed in the UK, in London. I performed in Paris, and that's a great story. I'll tell you in a second. I performed in Berlin as well, which is how I got connected with the Berlin poets out there, as well as in Iceland. And it's
now
no
is
matter
Iceland cold?
Iceland.
Iceland. And then I need to know, is it cold over in Iceland?
Iceland is cold. Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Buffalo cold or worse than Buffalo cold?
It is actually right in the middle of Buffalo cold. So you will find yourself on average about, when I was there in the summertime, it was the dead of summer, and the day I was there, it was about 65 to 55 degrees. The day before, the day before it was like 70 the day before. But here's the catch. The sun doesn't set in the summer at all. And so therefore, and I have a friend who lived there from college, and I stayed and hung out with her, and I had a 25-hour layover there. And so the sun never set at all. It doesn't set. So they have like blackout curtains so they can sleep, but they're high enough that during the months, I want to say between April and maybe September, October, it's sunny and daylight all day, which is dangerous when you're going out.
Wow.
So, it was 4:00 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, cool. Where are we going next? What's next? It's still broad daylight outside. And you're like, no, it's 4:00 in the morning. It's time to go home. So that was really cool. Paris was.
Yes, Paris.
It's a funny story. So I had a feature in Paris. So I took the train in from London. It was just a one-day trip. So I was going to go there, stay in my Airbnb one night, and then come back early the next morning to London again. And so I got to London. I got to Paris in the train. I don't speak a lick of French.
I don't either.
Not a single lick. I tried the Duolingo.
I signed my son up for
Vous say comment ça?
And so I tried Duolingo, and I got like a couple of phrases here and there. Didn't help me at all. But I was walking around Paris, and I found my Airbnb, but I realized I didn't have any phone service. And the person running the Airbnb, he didn't tell me which apartment it was, just the address. So I found the address, but I wasn't gonna knock on every door to figure out the apartment. So he said, yeah, I'll come in right after work, and I'll let you in, and you'll be all set. So I said, okay, fair enough. Let me go explore Paris. I went to the Louvre. I talked to strangers because that's what I do. And I met, somebody that said, hey, I'm doing a poetry event at the Bistro d'Arty. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll come check it out. I was like, really? Okay, sure, yeah. So I get to the venue, and usually poetry events start around 7 or so. So I get there at 6, and the owner doesn't speak a lick of English.
Wow.
Yep. And I don't speak a lick of French.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at his wall, and he has like pictures of him from living in New York City. And so I'm like, wait, ¿se habla español? He's like, sí. I'm like, let's go. It's amazing how fluent you become in a language when it's the only one that you have. Because we had like a whole 5 to 8 minute conversation in Spanish, in my, super rudimentary Spanish. And he told me, yeah, the event doesn't start till 9:00. So I was there 3 hours early. So he told me a place I can go grab a quick bite to eat and things like that. And we talked for a little bit. So I went, got some food. The waiter didn't like me because I didn't speak French, of course, and I didn't even try. So that part is true. I hosted I did my feature, and after the event, everybody left. The young lady who I met at the Louvre came, and after the event, the owner and the host, he said, well, everybody left, but I have these 3 bottles of red wine. Do you guys want to just sit outside and drink these outside of Notre Dame? I was like, yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we're going to do that. So it's midnight. and we are drinking wine straight from the bottle at this point because pre-COVID. We're drinking wine straight from the bottle. It's pouring rain, and we're dancing, laughing, and doing all kinds of just having fun just in the rain. And that was my big memory of being in Paris. Was standing outside of Notre Dame.
Memory.
It was great. And then I finally got back to my Airbnb, but everything was off. They didn't have lights in the hallways. And so I just sat in the staircase of the building for the entire night until my train came the next morning.
Wow.
And I just thought about how good my life was. Nope, not a lick of sleep. And I was praying that nobody would be leaving in the middle of the night and see a random black guy sitting in the stairway in the middle of a hallway in Paris in a trench coat. So
yes.
that's one of my favorite stories because it was one of my favorite experiences.
Yes.
I mean, I'm shocked that you said your favorite moment was Notre Dame and not seeing the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I saw the Eiffel Tower. And, I mean, it was all right. It was cool. You walk up, you're like, oh, that's it.
Pictures of it. Let's see something.
Everybody got to take a picture of them in the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same conversation I had with the girlfriend from the scholarship thing when she went to New York and I was there for a trip, and she was like, I was like, man, I want to see the Statue of Liberty. She sent me a picture of it on Facebook. You need to know.
You don't need to see it. You see it when you pull up, when you fly in. You're good.
What were some of your favorite meals that you ate while you were over there? I mean, their food and wine. He gave as soon as he said you want 3 bottles, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's a special moment. That wine is special over there.
It was
red, white. What was y'all sipping on?
I want to say it was. I don't even know what it was. Honestly, he just had.
He's like, yeah, drink it.
We didn't have cups or anything. He was just like, you know what? You're just cutting up.
I love it.
Food wise, I got to this restaurant that served crepes, and so I had my first crepe over there, which was actually really good. It was like a fruit crepe, and it wasn't filling, but it was good. Being in the UK, I honestly didn't like too much of the food that I got there. So their corner stores are oddly equipped with fried chicken and ribs and American style food in their corner stores. So when I went to the restaurants and everything, you see mashed potatoes. Everything was potato based, mashed potatoes and fried fish fry, things like that. Fish and chips, things like that. And so it was kind of bland. But
we know that.
Yeah, I know that. But eventually I started cooking for myself in the Airbnb I stayed in. She also cooked some stuff, and that was a good time. So she cooked some stuff and had me try some different stuff. But mostly the best thing I ate over there were the American style ribs, which
my gosh.
But it was. There was. Oh, actually no. They had a farmers market kind of thing with more Indian based foods. And they had a lot of snacks like that. So I went through. That was the best food that I had over there.
Okay.
That was the best food.
Sounds good.
So yeah.
I was supposed to plan Italy for next year, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not understand how long I've had that on my bucket list? And it was set. All I had to do was just start putting down payments on the trip. Here was my trip plan, okay?
Okay.
2 weeks. Fly over to Rome.
Okay.
Stay there for a few days, see the arts, enjoy the atmosphere, the food, take the train down over to Florence.
Okay, yeah, that's a good place to go.
Venice.
Yeah.
And then they was like, well, just take the train to England. And we know some people that we met in Barbados that was like, if you're ever in England, tell us, we'll show you around.
Tell them.
So we was gonna do a few days in Rome, Venice, Florence, take the train. I only want to stay in Paris for 1 day because there's nothing much but Notre Dame and, and the Eiffel Tower. I'm good. because I really didn't care.
False.
But then I'm like, what you say?
You're out of control.
Why?
You don't know what you're talking about. But that's cool. I was gonna ask him, is he rolling with Paris or New York? Because those are comparable cities. That's like you saying you can go to New York one day.
But no, New York has a lot more stuff. I'm born and raised New York. Only one that I'm not.
It's the same. You can have a whole day where you go to all the museums. You have a shopping day. I'm just stop. Clearly, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
There's a lot to compare. There's tons in Paris.
Okay. Well, sister,
at least 2 days. Please, spend 2 days. You'll be mad.
New York is shut down too.
So I'm not worried about it right now. I can or now, but I'm not going into this virus. Man, listen, look, it's like it put a whole ton of. But that was my plan.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
guys.
sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
Honestly,
know when I'm going overseas anymore.
one place that I would definitely have you consider going that I did not think I would enjoy was Berlin. I did not. I was actually my wife and we planned a trip. She wants to go to Berlin because she loves beer. She loves beer. And there's one thing that they have there. It's all different types of beer, and she just loves trying them out and just going down doing her thing. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I mean, sure. I don't feel like I'm really gonna enjoy it. It doesn't seem like a real creative kind of place to go. So we'll go because you want to go. And so we went, and I have a friend who's from Russia who lives in Budapest. And so we said we'd spend about 4 days in Berlin, fly and spend 2 days in Budapest, and then spend the rest of the time in Berlin. And I got to Berlin, and the first day, we went and saw the sights and so on and so forth. And then I had a poetry feature there. I had a poetry event there. And I also won a competition in Berlin. I won a poetry competition in Berlin. And that was my favorite day because after the event, I got to meet them. And I'm a big meeting the people person. And a lot of the people who live in Berlin are actually like expats and transplants, people who come from different countries and all come. So Berlin itself is actually a really diverse city.
That's a beautiful thing.
It really is. So you have people coming from, Africa. You have people coming from, of course, America. You have people coming from the UK. They came from all over Amsterdam. And of course, the benefit of being in Europe is the other countries are so close. You don't realize how close they are. So the trip from Berlin to Budapest was the same distance from Buffalo to New York City.
Wow.
It was an hour flight.
That's nice.
And we flew over 2 countries to get there. And that's kind of how Europe was set up. And it was an interesting, you wouldn't imagine the scale of things. Budapest was beautiful. Had beautiful architecture, and it was good to see my friend. But other than that, I wasn't really Budapest.
Gotcha.
But it's gorgeous. But, Berlin, it was meeting the people and making those connections that, made a difference for me. I met some good hip hop artists out there who, one of his name is Naniso, and he's hilarious, but also like they talk about the lifestyle there and the difference. And we were talking about how they don't understand how we live the way that we live here in the States. And I was saying, I don't know how you all can survive over there, because in their case, he said, he has a 2-bedroom apartment and the rent is like $400 a month. And they work,
I would love that.
and they make more than that. So their focus isn't like trying to work to survive. They work, in many cases to 3 o'clock. And then the goal is just to spend time with your friends and just enjoy life, live your life, and not constantly trying to just, build and build and build. The body positivity thing out there as well. That was another thing I loved about it. They are very open and about just like, you have your body. And so therefore, it's your body, be proud of it. Be proud of it. You can mold it and mold it and form it however you want, but know that it's yours and you can do what you want with it, but also like take pride in it. And
amen to that.
also stay in the moment. And that was the biggest thing, was being present.
How's the weather over there?
The weather's perfect. I mean, it was.
I love 80
Yeah.
to 85 weather.
That's what it was about for most of the time that we were there. And we didn't drive. We went in June. We went in June. And of course they get winter as well, but they don't get like Siberian
Not
winter.
like Buffalo.
But they basically have, I think their weather would be similar to like weather in Pennsylvania or Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, maybe a little bit further north because
I
of
need
the weather.
to travel.
And we rode our bikes around the entire city because
Awesome.
it's a mission-free city. So most people ride their bikes, and they have bike lanes everywhere in there. And
I like
people
that.
move out of the
I like
way.
I like that.
So, just other experiences that I got, and I was able to kind of pull from those experiences and really make connections and see what it can inspire.
I meet people when I travel too, because I'll talk with them.
Oh yeah.
What's the harm when you're on vacation?
Plenty of harm, but
Nicole, we all know that.
I stay alert. Okay, let me rephrase
You ain't
that.
got to tell nobody on this podcast platform if you talk to them.
Stay alert, people. I'm just saying, when you're on vacation, you're chilling. I'm the type of person, since I have family members that's in the military and everything, they train you right away.
Yep.
Everybody in the family gets trained. So when you walk in a room, I already know where the exits are, who's sitting where, how you can get in and how you can get out, what's popping, what's going on. I don't like to sit my back to the door. I like to look at the door because if there's only one entrance in and out, I need to know who's going, who's going. And people's like, you are different. No.
You operating like you got military training.
Yeah. I got military training.
Head on a swivel. I love it.
I think military and martial arts.
I'm like 3 o'clock.
I'm
9
actually
o'clock. People looking at you like, what? I'm like, look to your left, ding ding.
like, look.
I'm like, 3 o'clock.
Look, but on your
you try to talk to them in code, and they're like, huh? I'm like,
no, it's not. What are you talking about? 6:30. It's 6:30. What are you talking about?
I'm like, note to self, I need to get military family friends. Because if something's going down, you're just giving away. I'm trying to.
Yeah, we were a military family. And we grew up doing that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, we know the 6 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And we know we gave each other like mini code names and like had designated plans and things like that. But also, the idea of like knowing where the exits are when you walk into a room. I'm the same way, and I'm actually writing a poem on that now.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, because
but for real, you need to know your exits.
Yeah, it's good training, but also it becomes a bad habit sometimes when that integrates its way into relationships. You're always looking for your exit when you first get in.
I know that's right.
And friendships when you're first looking for your exit.
Wow, what a pivot!
But it is. I used to be on dates, and they're like, "You're." I know I'm different. My mother's a registered nurse. So not just having military people in your family. Your mother's a nurse. So she acts like she's dead or unconscious, and she's timing you while she's acting. You have to feel her pulse, make sure everything, and look, people like, your mother did that? Yes. She made sure we took swimming lessons. I'm certified CPR. When I tell you, my mother makes sure I know how to run an IV, draw a line, and everything.
Wow.
But I will do it if I have to.
Right. Only.
And only because I don't like blood. When I get my blood drawn, I'm like, don't even tell me. I turn my head, do what you gotta do.
I still have needles.
But I can watch ER on TV when they're in the ER, but when blood and all the organs come, that's where I'm like, that's why I had to flag on the play. I couldn't go to medical school. That's the only thing. But if I had to, I would. I got you. Just don't make me have to have you.
You definitely don't want to watch Hannibal then on Netflix. I just finished Hannibal, which is a new TV show. Actually, not new, but it's new on Netflix, and it's about Hannibal Lecter and the whole storyline of him being Don't watch it.
Yeah, okay.
But now you're gonna want to. You're welcome.
No, I won't. No.
I honestly just started that like 2 weeks ago. I made it through the first season and was blown away. It's crazy. I have not thought about that show since until you brought it up. I might watch that tonight because it's 3 seasons. Yeah, Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
See, and that's why I did not go into medicine. Nope, nope, no. But I love to travel. Oh my goodness. I've been to Mexico, Hawaii. I've been to Barbados, Jamaica, Cayman Island, Key West, Cali. We were supposed to go back in April. You see how salty I feel.
You should have seen the eyes on that one. The eyes just got
10
spin.
days. Supposed to be in California. 10 days. And the virus hit. So it's been over a year and something, and I have not been on vacation.
It's gonna come.
We're gonna get through this. We're gonna
We
get
are.
through this.
We gonna get through it together.
I'm a traveler. This is killing me. But anywho, as long as we're safe and healthy.
Yep.
So, since the virus hit, and you do things through Zoom and things of that nature.
Okay, hold on. I was going before we get to that question. Ush has arrived because I was like, well, Nicole, our business partner is a Delta manager. You can go wherever you want. You just said where you want to go.
Where I want to go, somewhere warm, the beach, the sun, where it's hot, and good food.
All right, there we go. We're gonna take care of the queen. Let's get back to the interview.
I know I'm the queen.
She loves it. Oh my gosh. Look at her. You see her head getting bigger?
No, see,
So
growing up, I didn't get along with too many girls. I always was with the boys.
Were you on the
Because
show?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, that's why. That's why. Yeah.
I'm the oldest.
You didn't get the ability to enjoy your child because you always had to take her to the other one. So now you gotta embrace it. Like I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you.
And with Mother Hiller being the pastor of the family and of the church and stuff, you know. Yeah. But every Sunday after, I was telling them on one podcast, every Sunday after church, we go back to Mother Hiller's house in the basement. We would have my cousin Harry would have all the girls and the boys learn how to do a little boxing. And then when I was done with that, I would go upstairs. Well, after our uncle saw the military and everything, you know, tell you, I don't care, you're a girl. That's why I like having firearms and everything. So I do. And so I would go up and sit up there and listen to them and learn how to cook from them as well. So, you know, so I have more guy friends. I buy more with guys because girls, they're too catty. I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for the drama because it's like, I'll hit you first and then we talk about it after. It's
so
like
teach them how to throw the holy hands.
Yeah.
I get it.
So it's like, okay, don't come at me if I'm not coming at you. You know what I mean? Like,
or as my friend Kara says, don't come for me if I don't send for you.
If I don't send you. Like you're a non-factor.
Yeah.
So now it's just people say, well, you get along, you have a lot of guy friends growing up.
you know what's so crazy about that, Nicole, is you have 3 sons too.
I know. God gave me
That's so weird.
with the whining, I can't do. I just can't do it. I can't. So yeah, God knew what to give me. But my granddaughter, she tested me. That's my little snickerdoodle. That's my little snickerdoodle.
See, it's okay because my mother wanted girls and she got all boys. It was
Really?
weird. My brother and I
wanted boys.
we were supposed to be Emerald and Brandy, but instead we're Emery and Brandon. And so, now we're here, and my brother now has 4 girls.
Ooh.
And my parents are like, basically take care of my brother out in Virginia. So now they got 4 girls.
Wow.
Haley, Bailey, Emery, and Imara. Apparently Emery, who's going on, I think she's 9 now, going on 10, and she's a mini me, they say.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know where she gets it from, but she's a monster. I don't know where she gets it from, but she has a lot of my mannerisms. So one of the things I joke about is my father being a pastor, and my mother was talking about, oh yeah, you can't do all these things and be good, and she's like, Grandma, if I don't sin just a little bit, then Jesus died on the cross for nothing. And I was like,
Wow.
I literally have that written on my phone right now. I have that written on my phone right now. And she's like, that's why she's your mini. That's why she's your mini. And so she gravitates towards me every time I go down to visit her. She's always right there in my back pocket. So.
Wow. Well, Brandon, I'm happy you brought up your family, because when we was talking about it early at the beginning of the podcast, I had some questions.
Yeah.
Of course, Nicole didn't let me ask any. Because I was blown away, of course, when you said you have both parents in your household.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge. Because we try to promote everything Black, and I'm like, dang, I would love to just ask you how that impacted your career and how it molded you versus other artists you see, and just the different elements of that. And then you said y'all was a military family. I'm like, wow, that's a whole nother element of family. Then you said it was 4 of y'all. And then you said your dad was a pastor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. So who's the military parent?
My father is military. So my father's military.
Okay.
We are also a big sports family, but my father knows nothing about sports. My mother.
And y'all are all boys.
Of the Bills, of course. Bills Mafia, hands down. Come on now. You know better than that. Come on. I know this is Baltimore. That's why you had Chris on here. So you had Chris in your interview because he's a big Ravens fan too. Actually, I played semi-pro football with Chris. That's how we met.
Okay.
Before he got
You
into
play semi-pro too, man?
I played semi-pro.
What can't you do?
Yeah,
I know
listen,
what he didn't do, right?
Football or basketball?
Football.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
I only played 1 year of high school because I went to performing arts high school. We didn't have a football team. So I didn't know I could play for another school until my senior year. So I played 1 year of high school at Lafayette, eventually became the captain that year, and then I got a $28,000 West Virginia scholarship that I turned down and went to Fredonia because the tuition was cheaper. And so
Wow.
After that, also because my parents told me Fredonia had a football team. We don't have a football team. Fredonia has never had a football team. And so therefore,
Shout out Fredonia.
Yeah, I got hoodwinked. Run them up now.
So you didn't end up, it doesn't sound like we're in the military. Don't sound like you intend on being a pastor at all. How you became a poet? That's so interesting.
Well, yeah, funny enough, as a poet.
What about your other brothers as well?
Oh, so this is where I love this concept, because a lot of people say, you had it good because of who your father was. And so you turned out the way you are because of who your father was. My brother and I were polar opposites. So my brother was a gang leader, and so on and so forth, like in the streets, until he finally moved out of Buffalo. And he was able to turn everything around. But he's also a lot smarter than I. And that's kind of a big thing that helped him survive through what he was going through. Also, we're also a martial arts family. And he was the #1 fighter in the world.
Better not mess with y'all.
So
man.
like I said, we had a lot going on. So
look, they didn't want those hands.
I am
telling you.
Also, funny enough, I am also a minister as well.
Okay, awesome.
I lean in.
Follow behind you.
I followed my father's footsteps
the Lord does work in mighty ways. Happy dad.
Theater and poetry allows me to move my pulpit to a different place, to relay a message to a larger crowd, and live by the example. And that's why
Shout out Brandon Williamson, because what another one of my questions was that you just answered was just about mentorship. You clearly have a passion for our community and the culture. What do you do with Black men, and what are you doing in the community? You said as a minister.
I do that. Also, as an admissions counselor, one of my favorite things to do is work with high school students in my area, the neighborhoods that I grew up in, and help them walk them through the process, whether they decide to go to college or they plan on prepping for a career or whatever that may be. My job allows me to do that as well, so I can work with students, and I've had students that I've had to reject initially, but walk with them through the process of, what the extra steps they need to come into Fredonia. And now they're working as mentors and things like that. And so I taught high school for a little bit before that, when I graduated. And I graduated from from college in 2007. And I got a job teaching high school theater like immediately. And wow. For about 4 years there. And now some of my students are turning 30, and that's weird. It's weird to me that they're all growing up, and I'm see the things that they're doing. They're still connected with me, and they're still reaching out to me and things like that. So
that's a beautiful thing.
It really is, and I miss teaching. I miss teaching, and because of that exact thing, leading from example, but also being a person that people can relate to. And they can feel like they can be themselves around you when you're working in a predominantly Black school. There are, when it comes to Black male teachers, there were 2.
They're scarce.
And I was one of them. And I was one of the 2. And the other one was the music, who was a good friend of mine as well. And so, yeah, you become the person that everyone feels like they can go to. They can be honest and real to the point where a
most popular dude in the hallway.
And a new student tried to steal my laptop once. And the other students, once they realized that I was hunting for my laptop, they went and found it for me.
That's nice.
And so, like, if you can be real with the students, allow them to be real around you, and then it makes teaching that much more rewarding. It makes it that much better. So
it is. I love it because I do miss the babies, because what we do is foster care, and I also teach Wednesday night Bible study with the little babies from 2 up to 5. And I love teaching them and everything. And I let them know, and they know they could come to me, that Miss Nicole loves them and everything. And if they have a problem, I miss that right now.
Yeah.
I do miss the babies. Because I'm like, they're your babies, but when you give them to me, they're my babies. And then when I give them back, they're still my babies. And I also love that I always try to make sure my house is a home that children feel safe and everything to come to. My oldest son used to have everybody over here, his football team, everything. I'd rather you be under my roof. I know what's going on.
My mother was the same way.
I feed you. You can sleep over, but I know y'all safe.
My mother was the same way. So a lot of the stuff that happened with my brother and his friends and, his gang kind of stuff all happened right around our house. And my house was in the middle of 3 gang territories. So in that case, we had his gang, and then there were 2 more, and they knew him, so they knew me. And so, they knew I was the person that I did everything I could just to get out of my neighborhood altogether, primarily because they knew that they could get to him through me. And so, eventually in high school, this is where the theater kind of came into play. Yeah, with movies like The Matrix, you get the whole black trench coat, wearing all black, wear the black hat, similar to one I'm wearing with some sunglasses, and you talk to yourself walking down the street. You can clear parking lots. They don't want to mess with you at all. And so, it was that kind of combination. And of course, once again, us being a, military and martial arts family at the same time, we were able to defend ourselves if needed be. But luckily, we didn't necessarily need.
That's what I was about to say. That trench coat was like extra, going above, because you could already knock somebody out with your fingertip.
I'm all about peace. I live a life of.
They didn't know that. Look, they will learn today.
Yep. So yeah, it's been interesting, and then of course. My mother is the one who taught me all the common sense in the world. Because I am, my wife tells me that I see the world through sunshine and rainbows. And I'm entirely way too optimistic and believe way too much in people. And so she gravitates more towards my mother in a sense that they are both very down to earth, and they know how, they know the true nature of people. So my mother, the first lady, She is not afraid to tell you like it is, and she is not afraid to tell you.
My type of mama.
Yeah,
tell it like it is.
Even, I have I have tons of stories.
Was it fire and brimstone?
Not necessarily fire and brimstone, but fire and brimstone was more so she's like, all right, look, if you're not gonna listen to me, wait till your dad gets home. And then from there it becomes fire and brimstone, because then you get fire and brimstone.
Hey, sounds like I was raised right.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, that old school.
No school like the old school.
So, yeah, and then from there, now we endeavored into the world of spoken word, the world of poetry, and I do workshops with schools. I did workshop with Planned Parenthood not too long ago, with other organizations. I had a partner in the organization who helped. Like when I created it, I called her in. Her name was Bianca, and her name is Bianca. And she took Pure Ink from what it was and she made it ultimately like a lot of what it is today. She expanded it even further beyond what I wanted to expand it by. And like that, she was a big factor in why we are where we are today. We've gone our separate ways now, but like I will always make it a point to highlight that like she put in work and we worked really hard together to build it to what it is. And so, yeah.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. You have any more questions before we ask him to do his exclusive?
No, I'm questioned out. I feel like we know you personally. Well, I know you personally.
He has questions. Go ahead.
Do you know how to play spades?
Absolutely.
Do you know how to play spades?
Sure do.
All right.
What about dominoes? One that.
Y'all did it at the same exact time.
And then I'll be like, boom, boom with the spade. I'll be smacking it up on that table.
All
That
right.
means I cannot stand playing with you. Just need to calm down, Nicole.
I used to play CeeLo in high school, run schools all for their money.
We family reunion. I paired up with my cousin for a spade tournament for our family reunion, and this was the most devastating spade story I've ever had, because the worst part was we ran through the whole family like easily.
Okay.
And we were in the final, the championship. In the last hand, we already had our books.
Oh no.
When we only needed 4 and we were at 7. And
Kept winning.
he reneged and they called him on it. And the way that my family plays, the way that we play, you renege and you books. The way they play, you renege and you lose.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. That's the same look I had, because it sounded like nonsense. I'm not bitter about it. Because
You renege, you lose.
even if we had our 3 books, we still had the books and won the game. So
That's crazy.
won the game.
They cheated y'all. They made that rule up that day.
And so he was like, I'm sorry. I was like, don't talk to me.
Oh, how you do that? I'm like, you were never my partner ever again. And don't cut me one time and I'm your partner. I'm like, yo, was you not paying attention to the board? I'm like, okay, you gotta get up. Get up.
Was there a prize?
I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm bad.
Was there a prize?
It was a trophy, and I don't remember what the prize was. There was a prize, but
Okay.
I go for the glory. It's all
I was gonna say if there was cash benefits, I would have been upset. No, because y'all were winning. How you reneged when you win and got your books? Supposed to just be easy sailing, playing whatever come out.
Easy. It was easy, and it crushed my soul. It
There you go.
made me go on strike for a little while.
I would have been done, like.
Gotta know your spade partner, y'all. But it's crazy because y'all did good the whole rest of the tournament.
Like dun.
Yeah, we had the books to win. And that was what was upsetting, because even if we reneged, I was like, it's fine. We lose 3 books. Y'all can have the books. We already got our 4. We good. We won. They're like, no, if you renege, you lose. We're like, when did that become a rule? What kind of makeshift Uno rules are you?
Man, listen, I would have been like, nah, we gotta talk about this, fam. We gotta talk about this.
Yeah. So yeah.
What's your other question?
No, that was the main one, because it's gonna lead into my poem.
Okay. All right. So we have an exclusive. Come, go
All right. So, we talked about playing spades. So this poem is called Spades.
Okay.
All right. Never show your hand, keep a card up your sleeve and play it close to the chest. I've always had the habit of leading with my heart. Because in times of misdealing, I know it's prone to bruising and healing even stronger than it was before. Experience is the teacher of fools. And if there was one word to describe me, it would be not good at following directions. It comes honest. See, I learned how to play spades from the lessons my father taught me. Life deals uneven hands, so read your books well and play to win in this game. You want to have a great partner or a great hand, and it doesn't hurt to have both. He said, Brandon, I know you consider yourself a jack of hearts, but if you're looking for a diamond queen while reigning as the king of clubs, son, you're wearing the wrong suit. Choose your partner well and trust that your partner is doing the same. Look forward. I know your back is still bleeding from the hidden claws of previous partnership contracts, but no matter how that hand played out, it's in the past. Shuffle the deck, lock eyes with your partner, and begin. Pay attention. If you lead with your heart and she immediately throws out diamonds, flip the table, cut your losses, and run. Strive for something deeper. There are far too many unsatisfied partners playing blackjack with their relationship, where one continues to take hits from their partner until they eventually find the strength to stand. So don't be fooled into thinking that humanity comes standard in a man. Stay in the fight. Let the cards fall where they may. Play the hand you're dealt. Call a spade a spade. If it's possible, it's up to you to make it happen. And son, not to be a joker, but size matters. If you have a joker in your hand large enough to satisfy Alexis, Texas Hold'em, don't use it to cut your partner down, but to build books together. Trusting in your jokers can get wild when you stare into the single eye and poker face smiles, or she has a joker of her own, then talk about it. But lastly, if you're throwing down a diamond for two, the greatest advice I could leave you is this. If you play your cards wrong, you'll only lose a game. But if you renege on your promises, then you set all 52 playing cards and your partnership to flames. If you renege, then your apologies become hand-me-downs to your partner's memories. If you renege, then you probably should have just stuck to solitaire. We all get set sometimes. It comes from the habit of aiming beyond our means. Get set, get up, keep your composure, and get back in the game. For you are not programmed to fear failure. Failure simply translates to your first attempt in learning under ridiculous expectations, while finding an internal lesson using real experience before eventually finishing an impossible labor utilizing radical expression. Call your shot. You're playing this game to win. So let it go. Shuffle the deck. Lock eyes with your partner and begin.
Oh, my bad.
No, just clap, clap, clap. So that's the funny thing we do in slam. In slams, you snap, and you're like, oh, I felt that. And then you slap and just go wild.
Oh.
Suspect
That was very deep.
That right there.
Unexpected. Blew me away. Was not expecting that and what it was about.
Oh.
Whew. We trying to change lives.
Yes.
That right there was straight
Gotta
up,
change your life.
like, woo. That's how relationships crumble.
But the part about the Joker, size matters, all of that. Oh man, you killed me. I was not ready. I couldn't breathe for a little bit.
Son, I love
And
spades.
then you went into Texas Hold'em and something. So, oh my! I want to hear it again. But I'm gonna have to cut this, add this video. We're gonna do that.
Rewind part. Like, what? That was powerful. That was true. That was that
Makes me ready for the album.
right?
It is on the album. That poem is on the album.
That's the one on the website right now.
And it is, yep, the album's on the website as well as the book and the album. So you can read it or you can listen to like a book on tape.
Nicole, it seems like every time we got a guest on a Friday, I'll be like, take your time with your music. Make sure you put your heart into it. We're going to rush on. Then towards the end of the episode, it's like, hey, come on. We need this. Come on, brother.
You can find the album on Spotify, on Apple Music, every streaming platform. It's called Instrumental. You can type in Brandon Williamson, you'll find it there. And the book is on my website as well. So yeah, check it out. It's a good time. Like I said, I composed all the music, and the first poem I wrote for the album was a poem called Evolution, and it goes into one of the challenges that I run into, and the challenge we run into often is, that when we go to a lot of poetry events, especially when I hear a Black poem, it's always about death, as if a seance is the only way an audience can see us. And so in this case, I wrote a poem it was initially called Black Death, talking about why we got to work on changing the narrative, but I turned it into a poem called Evolution, because in many cases we need to evolve in our art, and we need to evolve in order to survive our own poetry. And so that is with the first one. It's the third song on there now, third poem on there now. But it's Evolution, as well as We Are, which is my protest poem, going on the protests of what's going on today, and all of that stuff. To everything else is a lot more upbeat. It talks about, repairing friendships. It talks about, I might have a mildly erotic piece on there as well. I write really, really PG erotic poems.
Okay.
I'm not good at it at all. I'm not good at it at all. It was like, oh, this is like a Disney version.
Well, I got us on Facebook jail for a week.
Oh.
Because we talked about sex versus intimacy.
Oh yeah, there's a difference.
And we went deep. I don't know if somebody reported us or whatever. My thing is, if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to click on it.
Yeah, just keep it moving.
Like, be grown, people.
Yeah.
I have no kids on my page.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
So we was in jail, so they was like, Nicole. I was like, really?
It'd be like that sometimes.
We grown folks.
It'd be like that.
Haters.
Yeah, I've got that on there. It's good. And I have a poem called The Word on there as well, which talks about the lifespan of a poem. First, there was The Word.
Do you have another one you want to drop?
Yeah, I can do
right here. Okay, we got one more. Go ahead.
You got time?
Ron, we got time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at the album right now. Which one is it going to be?
That's a good question. Let me weigh my options.
We have another.
What's quarantine about?
Exclusive. That one right there was just mind-blowing. Hit the elevating.
All right. Oh, okay. I've got a few of these here.
Go ahead.
Let's go with. I'm going to do a poem called Battleship. This one is a lot less performative, but
Battleship. Come
Battleship
on, let's go. I'm already thinking one way, and he's going to take us another.
When I was in third grade, I used to have visions of the future. Diagnosed as a 9-year-old imagination, my visions eventually evolved into repeating scenes of my parents' death. Realizing they can't just brush this off as unimportant, much like we do Black trauma, I was taken to a therapist who taught me the art of detachment, building a wall between yourself and the people you care about in order to function, in order to survive. We never got to the end of the lesson. The board game on the shelf caught my eye. Battleship, a teachable moment. He taught me how to play. You build a wall, you erect a wall between yourself and your opponent. Set your ships, shoot your shot, and survive. And it sounded a lot like masculinity at the time. Battleship, a game of virility with a secret. See, I realized the more ships I had on the board, the more likely they are to become a liability. So I remove all the other ships from my fleet. I call it security. It's less likely the life will hit something that is near and dear to me. Detachment is convincing myself that I'm doing it for their protection. I've been told that I see the world through sunshine and rainbows. And isn't that just as masculine? To experience so much negativity in the world that when a moment is mildly gentle with me, I decide to bask in it. and consider it Novocaine. And in this game, when you see the world through rose-colored glasses, you can't tell the difference between a hit or a miss. And that kind of ignorance is bliss. Detachment teaches you this, that even if you lose, this life is just a game that you can dismiss. So how will you ever learn to heal when the pain from each hit starts to feel real? Masculinity is playing a game of Battleship in front of an audience. Putting on a show like you know exactly what you're doing when every decision is really just a shot in the dark. Echoes of people behind you with knives in their pockets whispering sloppy second guesses in your ear. Miss. When someone fires close to your ship, you put on a poker face. Act like you've been there before. Hit. When you hit, you stay silent. Detached from the pain. Tell yourself a story of how it builds character, how you will grow from it. Hold the water, keep the water from welling up. Hold it down and man up. Stand tall and sink slowly. We always fire back. Reciprocate the damage. You see, for a hit, when that water begins to rise, you will begin to sink. And when everyone abandons ship, you find yourself sinking alone in the middle of the ocean. It is in that moment you wish you had another ship to call to, but the sea is riddled with shipwrecks, just like you. And the ocean is the only one close enough to hear the call. Maybe I never should have learned how to play this game after all.
Mm.
That is a product.
I'm not even gonna snap. That was pretty dark.
Yeah.
Woo! Especially talking about the man's manhood.
Or the part that got me when you said you are in the middle of the well, no, when you said every man's decision, is it like you shooting a shot on the board? You pretty much just throwing it in the dark, hoping there's an audience behind you that it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's all about being a man.
Yes.
Get to their eyes. I forgot that.
You know, we need to repeat that on the next Sunshine Tuesdays with Sunshine, because she is real hard on the men. But did you hear that, Nicole?
I'm not hard on the men. I love y'all. I'm hard on y'all. I'm hard on him. Okay, be ready at 8:45. I'll be ready. Give me the codes. Let's go. I'm particular.
Oh my gosh.
I want us to be on pass together. Vibe. Be on the same page. But yeah, I'm hard on him.
That's fair. That's fair. Luckily, you get it from a distance, so you know with the time zone difference, it doesn't translate quite as much to the exchange rate. You know.
Oh, my text.
It went
Hello?
right over her head, Brandon. I don't even think she heard what the spoken word was about. Battleship.
Oh,
Clearly. Yeah, we are definitely on the same page, Queen. That's what it's about. All I gotta say is this fist behind me. This is to you tonight, bro. This was this was a good episode, man. This could help a lot of men.
yeah.
It helped me.
Yes. He's been going through and won't talk to me yet about it. I'm waiting for him. So yes.
I ain't going through nothing. I ain't gonna talk to you about nothing.
I know.
But it helped me.
Well, as long as he helped you, somebody needs to help you.
Oh my gosh. And who gonna help you?
Got you. Oh.
One step at a time.
As long as I get my getaways, I'm fine.
You know she's been stuck up in this house for so long. She's just kind of.
Oh, I have plans.
We're gonna get her a vacation.
September 18th, I'm going away again for a weekend. That's why I told him there's 2 Fridays of September I'm not doing, and one of them is my middle son's birthday, which is next Friday, and then the other one is my weekend with me. No kids, nobody, just me. Back on.
How selfish of you. I love it.
No, that's where I'm born and raised.
I know, but that's where Kobe was born and raised here too.
But I'm
Can't be going back there. They're going back here.
I need a getaway.
I get it.
I said every month now I'll be doing a little getaway me.
That's good. It's good for you.
Yeah.
That was what my travel season was good for me when I was recruiting. Is I get away and I'm there. You talk to students about their future, talk to students about college and everything, but that's usually during school. So in the evenings, after your event, you have free time. So you connect with other counselors, you do karaoke, or you just go to your hotel, sit back, grab a glass of wine, and right.
My phone is off. I said when I go away now, my phone will be off because I need just me time.
Yeah.
Being a parent and a mother and working and doing my thing and business and everything, you have to shut the world out and just have fun too.
Yeah.
Be happy. So I said once a month, I'm going to be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm. That was a big thing.
Smile, let the sun shine. My bad, Brandon. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let the sun shine, hair down, don't gotta worry about nothing but just have fun.
And need to find a way to make that sustainable. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I learned with COVID, with this pandemic, was like, I know it was really bad for a lot of people, but it was probably one of the best things that could happen.
It was a great thing for me.
When it comes to just reconnecting, because I was in a place where I was in a really bad place mentally, emotionally. I was just running so much that I lost myself in all the things that I was doing. And when the world stopped, I was able to stop with the world and I could reconnect and figure out, okay, let me get back to what's important to me.
Yeah.
And that was, funny enough, and this is once again going back to the whole top 5 music thing, I started listening to NSYNC again, and I just thought about the love songs and just the idea of love songs and the idea of just feeling that way towards somebody. And that was something I stood on growing up. I'm a sap for I love songs. I love songs about, this, I promise you, and things like that. Things like that, when you make promises and you're like, you know what,
and they're kept.
And they're kept, and things like that. And so, that helped me reconnect to, because after a while I was getting really, really bitter about things around me. And so when I was able to reconnect to myself and just listen to that music, and just, it took me back to my teenage years, and it took me back to my purest self. Yeah. And then I said, okay, I enjoy this joy, I enjoy this feeling, and to be able to do all this stuff, and now I'm in a good place. Now I have to make this good place sustainable. So that includes having, outlets, having fun things you do and things like that. So I've learned how to say no.
Yes.
And that's that's a big thing.
Yes. And I've learned how to cut people off.
Yeah.
The dead weight.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been deleting people on Facebook. I'm like, any negative or toxic, I've deleted them out of my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, this virus was to show you. To show what's missing, what's going on. It showed me so much. When do you break? When do you have fun? Just you. When was the last time you did you?
Yeah.
I was losing myself, and I was like, no. I promised myself a long time ago, I won't. If I see myself losing myself, gotta bring it back.
Yeah, and that's the big challenge, is people, we get so used to being so busy that you never know how to deal, when you know how to handle it, when you only have yourself to deal with.
Yes.
So when people close the door and they just lay on their bed and it's pitch dark and you just in your own head, you're used to having so many other distractions, thinking about so many other things, that when those things are now gone, you have to deal with yourself.
Yeah. And I made it that way.
Yeah, you need to do that sooner than later.
Yep. Before you snap.
And that's, find your therapy. And, if it's therapy, you go to therapy. If it's finding other things that help you connect to yourself, find those things.
Yeah.
But, whatever it takes, you only have one head, you only have one body, you have this life. And so
live.
you gotta make sure that you're not, as much as I'm living for everyone around me, because I am living for all the people around me. I can't let that poison me at the same time, because I have to be able to pull back and give myself permission to pull back and do my own thing as well. That was the biggest thing. I never gave myself permission to do that. And COVID happened, coronavirus happened, and I was able to give myself permission to pull back from everything else and just focus on me. So I didn't connect with many friends during this time at all. And my wife and I just kind of stayed in. We played board games. We reconnected, because the challenge with, being a busy person, as you can imagine how much I run around, she's a homebody. She loves to just stay home, sit on the couch and watch cartoons with the pup. That's her thing. And so she can do it for a long time, but now it's starting to get to her because she wants to have the option of being able to say no to places. But for a while, we just stayed home, and you would think that it would drive me crazy, but actually it was the most peaceful time that I had. So, yeah. And it allowed me to write. That's where the Battleship came from, was a project of quarantine, where I just kind of dove into the idea. I have a poem called Black Mirror, which talks about how we put on a mask, code switching and things like that, and how we put on a mask so that people can see themselves in us when we're around them. And so we're the Black Mirror / magician kind of thing, based off of the TV show, the Twilight Zone style TV show. And I wrote that during COVID, and then I did book covers as well. I just took the concepts that I had, and I was able to just sit down and just write them out. And I'm happy that I finally have them all done.
Awesome.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for blessing the stage tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Oh, I had a blast. Go ahead. He grabbed the mic.
So, oh, you know me, huh? I was just gonna say I appreciate you sharing. As you were sharing your first poem, Spades one. I was thinking it was like a cliche, cool version of the prodigal son, and like a father talking to a son and all the things that you were breaking down and going through. And I was just like, wow, that's so dope. And that's why it was so impactful, because I compared it to that. And then for you to share everything and then put it all together, man, it's the truth.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. And I always
tell you put your heart in
it. I always challenge, when I do like workshops and just people listening, I challenge you to try to find connections of things that may not be connected. Build them, build bridges and see where they take you. And that's one of my favorite. I love to hear that you made that connection. Now write about it.
Hey, I'm gonna get to it.
No, I appreciate it. I really do.
Tell them again how to find you.
All right, you can find me if you want my website where you can find my information. Obviously, you can. So here's a problem with Googling me. You can Google Brandon Williamson, but apparently there's a whole bunch of Brandon Williamsons out there who do MMA.
Well, Brandon, can I interrupt you? I know I do it so much. I'm sorry. We posted your website, your links, your Spotify, all your stuff and all that. So they can find you in our comments when they watch it.
In the comments.
Or Brandon Williamson poet. That's the best way to find
so much going on in our comments about you. So many links, man. It's an inspiration.
Well, we thank you for coming again. Thank you, Chris Mad Dog, for referring him. We appreciate you as well.
Oh, shout out Mad Dog.
Okay. So this is from us to you. Have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week. Mwah, 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 mwah.